In December of 1992, I resigned from the church I was pastoring over in Lynchburg because it was evident to me that the board that ran that church simply did not have the love of God in their heart. They really didn't. They didn't want anybody in there that had ever had a problem and ever had this or ever that, or didn't look like them or whatever. And I just walked away and I told them that if I could put the cobwebs back in the Sunday school classes where I found it when I got there, I would have. That was probably a little rude, but I meant that. And so the second Sunday in January of 1993, we met as a group in the American Legion Hall in Madison Heights. And we were told that we had to be out right at 12 because they opened the bar in the room next door at that time. But I appreciate them allowing us to use the rec room over there. And then about a month or so after that, we moved out to the Forum Mini Mall at Timbrook Square on Timberlake Road. And it was plenty of room for an auditorium, and we stayed there for about a year. Oddly enough, our Wednesday night services were much larger than our Sunday morning services. We would get together for a snack or a meal around the table on Wednesday nights, and then we would pray over everyone that needed prayer in that service. And a lot of people, including the residents of a local battered women's shelter, would be there every Wednesday night to be ministered to. And that kind of set the tone for what our church was going to be about. And then sometime about a year after we got there, we managed to get back to Madison Heights, and we moved into the little building on the hill up there called the Jesus Center. And then finally, one Sunday morning, we were all outside of the church after the service, and we were all dressed with, pretty much blue jeans, t-shirts, stuff like that. And this very stately gentleman comes walking down the street from over here, and he comes up the road and he walks up the steps, and he said, "I need to see y'all's pastor." And of course, being good members, they throwed me under the bus right away without wanting to know whether he wanted to kill me or not. Everybody moved out of the way and pointed and said, "There he is right there." And anyway, he was the pastor of this church. And they were told by their district superintendent they had to vacate the building and go to a newer one on Amelon Road and merge with another church. Well, I didn't know that at first, and so he goes in my office and he leans over to my desk and he has tears in his eyes. And I said, "What's wrong, brother?" He said, "We have to leave this neighborhood, but this neighborhood needs Jesus." And he said, "We've been watching y'all, and we would like to sell you our building." Well, being a spiritual man that I am, I laughed at him because we had $200 in the bank. And I know they had wanted $250,000 for this building right here. I'd seen an ad, and Don and I rode around here once in a while after church over there, just looking at this place and saying, well, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? And we were getting ready to start a Christian school and everything, and so I told him, I said, "Brother, there ain't no way in the world we could do this." And he said, "Yes, you can. Yes, you can." He said, "Would you meet with my realtor?" And I said, "Sure, I'd be glad to," but I said, "I don't see how we could." Well, I sat down with his realtor, and she slid a figure of $100,000 across the table. And I said, "All I have is $200 from what I'm told." And I said, "I'll give you 100 of it right now, and we'll trust the Lord for the other $99,900. And she said, "We will." And so we brought our church through here, and they looked at it and just fell in love with it. And they said, get it, Dave, however you got to do it. So I went from one bank to another. And most of them wouldn't even turn around. One man wouldn't even turn around his chair to look at me. And I even dressed up halfway decent too, you know. And said, no, y'all are too young. There's no way you have no credit and blah, 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 you know. And so finally, this one banker told me, he said, shut the door and have a seat. And he told me, he said, if you can sign up 10 students for your school, Joey Jarena, he said, I'll give you the loan for this building. And he said, but you need to be prepared to pay about $5,000 in closing cost. Well, we had started the school. We'd gotten the school organized. We'd signed up at least 10 students that was going to start here. And I went over there, and we were trying to snag credit cards and everything so we could run up the bill for the closing cost. And it was a Mr. Brooks was the banker. Mike knows him. And he said, I'll give you the loan for the school. And I said, what about the closing costs? He said, Dave, I'm a Christian. And I teach Sunday school, and I know the struggle that it is to serve the Lord. I took care of that. I didn't ask him what he meant. I didn't want to know. But we got this building with no closing costs. We have never missed a payment, never, since the 90s. We got in here around 96 or 97 or whatever. Now, Candy found a sweatshirt that used to belong to us, and it was called Fellowship Community Church and Christian Schools was the original name of that. We named it Fellowship simply because of that, and that it was a community church that could mean whatever it needs to mean to you without a denominational flair. In 2003, we changed it because a lot of people thought we were part of the Metropolitan Community Church, which is a gay denomination. Does this look like a gay denomination to y'all? But they kept calling us and all that about that. And so the young people actually decided on the name of Solid Rock. So yes, we are Fellowship Community Church. We've never changed, and yes, we are Solid Rock as well. Yes. Now, every church has to be built on something. Some are built on false foundations, but every church is established on something. The cults, they are established on a leader or whatever, or a belief system. But I prefer Matthew chapter 16 and verse 13, where it says, when Jesus came to the coast of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, whom do men say that I, the Son of Man, am? And they said, some say that thou art John the Baptist, some Elijah, some Jeremiah, or one of the prophets. And he said unto them, but whom say ye that I am? Simon Peter answered and said, thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God. That's the foundation of the church. Not on denominational doctrine, not on tradition, not on a leader, but on Jesus alone. Amen. Amen. That's what makes the church work. That's right. Jesus answered and said unto him, blessed art thou, Simon Bar-Jonah. Now he had called him Simon prior to that. He said, for flesh and blood hath not revealed it unto you, but my Father which is in heaven. Now, as a Bible teacher, I cannot resist this next verse because you need to understand a lot of misunderstanding about it. And he said, I say also unto thee, thou art Peter. The translation is Petros, meaning a small stone or a pebble. And then he said, and upon this rock, which in the Hebrew was Sur or Petra, which is a huge, unmovable mountain of rock. He didn't build it on Peter. He built it on himself.
That's right.
He said, I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. I always thought that was odd, until a youth pastor that I was working with back in the 70s would always say, you see that right there? Read it again. And the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. This guy told me, and I had never thought of this, nobody has ever been attacked by a gate. Think about that for a minute. You ever had a gate chase you down the road? I did have a friend of mine that was on acid one time, and he thought that's what happened to him. But that's not a reality. A gate will not chase you. No, rather it is the church that attacks the gates of hell. That's our job. It's not to shrink back and hide and hope that the devil ain't going to come get us. We are to be on the attack. And a church will only grow and only be strong as long as it does that. Also note that gate is plural. Gates in here, meaning there are several. Well, just what are the gates of hell made up of? And how do we defeat it? Well, one of the biggest gates going into hell is ignorance. There are a lot of people that think that being good will get them to heaven. Ain't nobody good.
That's right.
There is none good. There's none righteous. No, not one. God just had mercy on us.
That's right.
There is sin at the gate, and I've been told over and over and over again, your church will grow if you'll quit preaching on sin. Yeah, but it'll grow full of people that will go to hell.
That's right.
Then there is the thing of pride. And that's one of the things that brings down people so often. They won't swallow that pride, get rid of that stinking pride, and admit that they need the Lord. Then there is the gate of discouragement. Oh my goodness, we all get discouraged. Sometimes we just want to walk away from whatever situation we are in. But don't ever, discouragement never comes from the Lord. It comes from the devil.
That's right.
There are some of you that are suffering from worthlessness in here this morning. You've been told all your life that you're no good. Well, Jesus thought enough of you to die for you, so you ought to be some good there, don't you think? Don't ever let nobody tell you you are worthless. Don't ever let nobody tell you that. That's a lie from the devil. And then the biggest one that the devil has used of late is fear. There are some people, they're scared to walk out of their house anymore because they might catch a bug. Well, Lord, stuff like that's been floating around since time began. If that don't get you, something else will. But you know what? You can't live your life in fear, shrinking away and hiding and running this way. You know, that was nothing but a creation of the devil anyway. To keep churches locked down, to keep people staying home and scared because, man, he can win the battle if he can do that. The Bible says in perfect love there is no fear. And the God that made you can protect you. Don't you worry about that. If it's your time to go, you're out of here anyway. You could die from a splinter. But if it ain't your time to go, nothing is going to touch you. I saw where Nick wrote that 2 years ago, yesterday, was the day that his life was saved. When it was told, no, don't pull the plug on him. You fight to save him. And God won't go let him go anywhere because it wasn't his time. It was not his time. And the doctors can proclaim everything they want. But God has the last word. So don't live in fear of something always going to get you. Stop it. and stand up and realize who you are and who your Father is. Fear, one of the worst things in the world. Now, our church has been a little bit unique over the years in the way we reach out to people. We are a church that probably has the lowest budget of anything from here to Lynchburg. But look at what this church gets to do. Look at, oh my goodness, a lot of people think we got money.
It's all God.
Where is the money? Have you seen it? From what I understand from the treasurers, they have not. Are we stuffing it in the pew cushions? But we've had money pass through our hands to the point to where we look like a big church. We look like a well-to-do church in the people that we have been able to help. A lady from California was visiting here years ago, and I was taking her on a tour of the school. And she goes and sits in the office for a moment, and people that have these outbursts scare me to death. All of a sudden, she jumped up and started screaming, "Oh, the Lord has shown me that this is going to be a place where people will come that don't nobody want them." She didn't know anything about us. And I'm here because didn't nobody want me, so, I guess maybe you are too. But God wants you. And He wants to do some incredible things through you to show His power. Now, you may not see payday while you are here on the earth. Now, every time somebody comes up to me and tells me their life was changed, that's payday. I look at that. But that's not the ultimate payday. But then when we see where these children that wasn't going to have anything at all to eat or anything for Christmas or no clothes or people locally around here and people in Appalachia and all that, that's payday. Yeah. Jesus said this in Matthew 25:31, "When the Son of Man shall come in His glory, and all the holy angels with Him, then shall He sit upon the throne of His glory." Now, I'm talking about payday, the real payday. "And before Him shall be gathered all nations, and He shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divideth his sheep from the goats." This next verse is tough to say with dentures. "And He shall set the sheep," I got it, "on His right hand,
You did it.
but the goats on His left. Then shall the King say unto them on His right hand," listen to this, "Come ye blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was a hungered, and you gave me meat. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you took me in. Naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came unto me." Then shall the righteous answer Him, "Lord, when did we see you hungry and fed you, or thirsty and gave you drink? When did we see you a stranger and took you in, or naked and clothed you? When did we see you sick or in prison and came unto you?" And the King shall answer and say unto them, "Truly I say unto you, inasmuch as you have done it unto one of the least of these my brethren, you have done it unto me." And so what we need to understand is all of the work and the sweat and the expense that has gone to run a food bank, to run the missions program, clothes, furniture, firewood, appliances, you name it. Need to remember, when we give people these things, we are giving it to Jesus. That's the motivation for the outreach that we have. Every church needs to take care of the poor, the people in their neighborhood, and even in missions because that's what they are supposed to. It's not supposed to be left up to the government to do that. Man, we can stretch a buck better than the Christian Children's Fund up in here. And the government throws away millions on foolishness every year. The church needs to be taking care of things like that. That's what we're doing. We're not here to build an empire. We are not here to build a kingdom. We are part of a kingdom that's already established. We are here as ambassadors for Christ, and we are to give the gospel out, to tell people about Jesus. And like the founder of the Salvation Army, General Booth, he said it's mighty hard to tell somebody about Jesus when their stomach is empty. He said, you feed them, then you tell them about Jesus. In other words, walk the walk. Don't just talk the talk. We need to be real. We need to be the Jesus that they are looking for. And then we can show them the real one when they come to us. Our Bible verse has never changed from what this church's mission statement is all about. And I read it every year, and I guess I'm going to keep on reading it every year. But it's Isaiah 61. This was the sermon that nearly got Jesus killed. He was told to stand up in the temple or the synagogue and read the scriptures. They handed the book of Isaiah to him, and he unraveled that thing, and he read them this right here, and they tried to throw him off a cliff. That ain't gonna happen to Dave. I got security officers back there. They're gonna take care. Ain't nobody throwing me off no cliff for doing this. But I might step on your toes. But here's what he said. This is from Jesus. And he told him, he said, today these scriptures are fulfilled in your eyes. This is who the scriptures is talking about. But we have this job that Jesus was anointed to do as well. The Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because the Lord hath anointed me to preach what? Good tidings unto the meek. He hath sent me to bind up the brokenhearted. That's the church's job. To proclaim liberty to the captives. We're to tell people you don't have to live in that addiction. God can deliver you from it. And the opening of the prison to them that are bound. The gospel of Jesus Christ will set you free no matter what your situation is. You can be set free by the gospel of Jesus Christ, but somebody has to tell it to you. To proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord and the day of vengeance of our Lord, to comfort all that mourn. I believe in looking at prophecy that the church's time on this earth is very, very short. I believe we'll be going to a wedding soon and we won't ever come back. And he's going to come get us. But in the meantime, we are not to sit and twiddle our thumbs. We are to be busy serving him and telling others about Jesus and doing the things that he has called us all to do while we wait. To appoint unto them that mourn in Zion, to give unto them beauty for ashes. I love to hear the girls sing that song. God can take the ashes of your life and turn them into something beautiful. And I know a lot of y'all that came here when your life was literally in ashes. I know that. And I have watched him turn things around. That's my payday. Good Lord, you can't beat that. To watch somebody changed because of the gospel. And it says that the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. You come in with a heavy spirit and start praising the Lord and walk out of here feeling lighter than air. That they might be called trees of righteousness, the planting of the Lord, that he might be glorified. And here's the final one right here. And they shall build the old wastes and raise up the former desolations, and they shall repair the waste cities and the desolations of many generations. They have a song about the old time religion and stuff like that. But you know what? There's a lot of merit to it. Yeah. My mother's pastor said there would be a day when they would take the blood out of the book and the altars out of the church. And a lot of them have substituted it for frivolous music and smoke machines. Y'all ever see smoke rolling out the back of this right here? Y'all better run because the church is on fire. Okay? We don't really need, I don't need a smoke machine. I got a candy. And so we need to go back to what we neglected. The church needs to go back to the old ways of really praising the Lord and serving God, and stop explaining the miracles of God away, that they're not true anymore. I've seen too many of them to ever see that happen here. But in this new year, we need more than looking at our past. We had a great past. We have. We've had some tough times. Man, look at what 30 years will do to you as a pastor. Great day, you know. But anyway, seriously, we've had some really rough times, but I look around and see those that weathered it. Some ran and hid, and some stayed by the stuff, as the Bible calls it. And thank God for y'all for being real soldiers of the cross and hanging in there. And believe me, I need all the support I can get. It gets tougher and tougher as the days go, but there's nothing like it to see change in people's lives and see things happen the way they have. And so let's go back to the old ways that was important to people coming up, living for the Lord, serving God, making His house a point of contact for fellowship and all between each other. And so, having said that, happy 30th anniversary, Solid Rock. God bless all of you. And, I don't think I can do 30 more. I'll be 96 years old, and I'm babbling and drooling as it is now, you know, so I don't want to. But seriously, I ask that the Lord will give me strength to continue being your pastor as long as He wants me to be. And just, you know, stand by me. I appreciate it. And I appreciate all the help I've got from the people in here. And we're going to be meeting together as a church here in a couple of weeks to, as a church staff, to hash over some of our goals and plans and visions for the new year. But let's stand, folks. I just want to simply say that God is able this morning. And if you've got something that you need prayer for, if you've never really been saved, come down here and take one of our prayer warriors by the hand. If you have things going on in your life that you need prayer for, you come on down here and let them pray. No matter what the situation is going on in your life, as Candy plays a song of invitation, would you make your way? There are many that'll be glad to pray with you if you need to come pray for strength, for healing, for encouragement, whatever it is.
In the beginning, there was the Word. The Word made everything, for the Word is the Lord. In Him was life, and it was the light of men. The light shines in darkness, the darkness can't comprehend.